Undefining.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Undefining, the podcast where we break free from labels, expectations, and anything that tries to put us in a box. Today, I'm sitting down with the incredible Gwladys, a beauty and travel content creator who has built a community that encourages people to embrace their full selves inside and out. From her roots in Paris to growing up in New York City and now making waves in DC, she's redefining what it means to show up boldly in beauty, fashion, and travel. We'll get into her journey from teaching to content creation, how she navigates identity through travel, and of course, a little bit of nostalgia about where it all started. Let's get into it. All right. Our guest today, Gwladys, is a beauty and travel content creator who has built an incredible platform centered on self-expression, body confidence, and embracing the journey, both in life and around the world. Born in Paris, raised in New York City, and now based in DC, she's been redefining beauty and inspiring others to live boldly. Today, we're diving into her story, how she transitioned from teaching to content creation, and the moments that have shaped her along the way. Gwladys, how are you on this Saturday morning? Although the listeners don't know it's Saturday, but how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for that lovely intro, Glow. How are you?
Of course. I'm all right. All right. You know what I mean? Instacart got me pissed off, but we don't have to go there. I think everybody can relate to. So do you order Instacart? Do you order groceries at all?
I do. I order groceries all the time now. I use both Instacart, Amazon Fresh, and yeah, it's just like a way of life for me now. COVID changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like I think I get too irritable in the grocery store, so it's one of those things where like and when you live in a city, you know that you're still in DC, right?
Yeah, I am still in DC.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so like you understand that, going back and forth to the grocery store, it's like you got 10 bags on your arms and you got to either climb up some stairs or, whatever, always inconvenient. However, that's not what we're going to talk about today. I could definitely go on and on. For all the listeners out there, I've known Gwladys for a minute. I started doing comedy, I don't know, maybe like 12, 13 years ago. And that was one of the first faces I saw in the audience as one of the big fans of comedy. Like, that's before people were out here like, you were really a ride or die for comedy. Like, that was... Every week. You were at the open mics till like 2 a.m. with us. You know what I mean?
And we had a good time.
Queen Makita's. Man. You remember Queen Makita's?
Yes, I do. And RFD. And oh my God.
It's crazy how time is flying. And like, it's amazing. I was saying this the other day, but I was just like, I probably like 10, 13 years ago, I couldn't tell you this is where I would be right now. This is where like what I would look like, what I would do. You know what I mean? Like, I just felt like everything is just changed, but for the better. Cause I still thought I was going to be living in DC, but I think DC got a little too comfortable for me and I needed to shake things up a bit and come to New York.
And now you're in New York?
And now in New York. Yeah. I'm still in Brooklyn. Yeah. But anyway, so we're going to talk about you today, not me. We're going to talk about you. All right. So my first question. All right. So I know growing up between Paris, New York, and now DC, how did those places shape how you see beauty and style?
Oh, wow. So I would say, okay, Paris was I was a baby. So it doesn't even fully count, but I was raised in New York, raised in the city, grew up in the Bronx. And I feel like fashion was just always a way of life, very much an expression of who you are, beauty, fashion, all of that. Growing up, I feel very lucky because my family, they're Trinidadian, Caribbean, and they really instilled in me from a very young age, like that I was beautiful, that I was worthy. And so, especially being like a darker skinned woman, sometimes in society, that's not what you're being told. But luckily, because my foundation was so strong, I wasn't fazed too much by that. I think that Lord, as early as 8 years old, I started really getting into hair because my mom had weaves and things like that. So I started playing with her hair pieces and I would make them into ponytails and I'll go to school, like in high school, and they'll be like, "Oh, is that all your hair? It looks so real." I'm like, "Wow." Now I'm probably like, "Oh, that's a little forward," but
Right,
Like,
right.
oh,
I'm like, why would you even want that to come out of you? Because see now how problematic that is. But what, am I not good enough to have this kind of hair? Like, yeah, this is
right.
mine. Should I put it on?
I bought it. My mom bought it back then. Like,
Right.
come on. So, from that early age, my mom had quite a bit of influence on me because whatever she was doing, I wanted to do. You know, she was wearing red lipstick. I was like, oh, I like red lipstick
Yeah.
too. So,
Yeah.
a lot of influence from my mom and also from my aunt. That's like my second mom. So, and
Okay.
she has always had locks her whole life. So for me, I'm just like so enamored by locks. Even though I don't have them myself, I just adore them. I think they're so beautiful. And it just really reminded me of the beauty of my own natural hair too. I know I got a wig on today, but my
But
hair
no,
is
you do. Yeah, but you do a great job at, I think that because you basically probably, well, just based off of your experience with like wigs and hair and stuff like that, like you share a lot of like affordable wigs for people to wear that are nice. You know what I mean? Because people always want to think that just because you spent like $15 on a wig that it's going to look like trash, or that they're not going to, that it might not be the quality that you want. So I know that's something that you really dive into, like how to keep up that beauty while still being frugal and living on a budget,
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
something that has always been a thing for me since I was younger, but I think wigs came into the picture more so. Well, I had a stint where I went natural in '09. That was in college. And then I cut my hair off and I was like maybe 22, had short
Yeah.
hair for a few years. Then I started wearing wigs due to a friend. I saw her wig, it looked good. And then I discovered all these affordable wigs that I did not know were a thing, looking for a human hair one. And from there, I would, wear my wigs. They looked really good. People started asking me questions. And someone was like, yeah, you need to start a channel on YouTube. And I'm like, what? I mean,
Yeah.
what? Do people
Yeah.
really care? But because I kept getting the same question over and over, and my partner at the time was like, yeah, you need to just do it. So I actually started an Instagram first, and then like a year later, I finally started my channel, and that's was the beginning of my story, creating
That
like
is
pretty content with hair. And the more feedback I received, the more I realized like, wow, this is it's about hair, but it's not just about hair. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
women were coming to me, leaving comments, messaging me, just saying like, they have maybe 3 children and they just don't have time to take care of themselves. They don't know how to do hair. So finding my channel and seeing all these affordable options, like that really helped them put a smile on their face and remind them like, oh, I can spend, under $100 and still feel like my best self. And that's part of
Right.
my mission too with my channel is to encourage people, but especially women that look like me, to feel like their best selves through beauty
Yes.
and fashion and travel. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that were able to see, something that where your voice was a lot stronger than maybe it was to you, because to you this was like, hey, this is like a hobby for me, or this is just like something I love, you know what I mean? And now that there are influencers out there or content creators out there trying to find their niche or their voice, and trying to get something out there with making this into like a business or whatnot, I see that they're always trying to dig for it, and usually the answer is right there in front of you. Like, what is it that you're passionate about, and then you take that, because it took other people like reaching out and going, hey, no, like, let's talk about this. Like, I think more people need to know who you are, because I've had people in South Carolina, where I'm from, like repost you, and I was like, not Gwladys all the way in Charleston and stuff, like you are big, like seriously. I was just like, wow, that is incredible. So you were a teacher for 9 years before making the leap into content creation. What was that moment like when you decided to go all in on your creative passions?
Okay, so let's set the stage. I started my channel January 21st, 2019. It was actually MLK Day when I launched it. And within my first, year to 13 months, I gained like 10,000 subscribers. Mind you, at the time,
Wow.
this is before short form content. And I
Right.
was busting my ass. I was
Yeah.
posting 3 videos every single week, 3 long form YouTube videos, anywhere from 10 minutes to 20 minutes, 3 times. I still don't know
Yeah.
how I was doing that while working full time. Like, I don't. But I think I was
Yeah.
just hungry. I was just like, you know what? This is
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I'm loving. I fell in love with the whole process. What's funny is
Uh-huh.
I actually went to school. I went to Howard, right? And I
Yeah.
majored in radio, TV, film, and French. So I was used
Okay.
to like
Oh.
producing
Yeah.
and script writing and things like that. But
Yeah.
it took a back seat once I started teaching because I was like, I'm not really
Yeah.
passionate about it anymore. So for it to kind of
Right.
like come full circle, once I started my channel, I'm using like all those same skills I
Yeah.
was doing in college. It's like, wow, maybe I was meant to do this, but just in a different
Yeah.
way.
Right. Right. It just
So
looks different.
it
Mm-hmm.
looks way different now. So now we're talking 2019, it's now 2020, COVID hits. And
Mm-hmm.
I realized like, wow, I have way more time to create. I don't have to like go to
Yeah.
work from, 7 to 5 and then 5 to 9 be editing and then go to sleep at midnight. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
once I had all that free time, it was an eye opener for me because I was
Mm-hmm.
like, you know what, this is what I really want to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I, at that time, had kind of started falling out of love with teaching. I did it for
Okay.
9 years and I really loved it. I was one of those people where it's like, Miss Maisons, that's your girl, okay? And
Yeah.
I taught pre-K, the young ones, and it requires a
Yeah.
lot of patience and mental energy. But at a
Yeah.
certain point, I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. It was
Mm-hmm.
one of those things. It was like time to step up, either become like in leadership somewhere, maybe even become an assistant
Mm-hmm.
principal, and that wasn't
Mm-hmm.
the path I wanted to be on. And
Right.
so I was like, no, but this content creation thing is going well. And I was getting a lot of traction. And then I started getting some brand deals with hair companies. And then
Mm-hmm.
at some point, I was matching like my teacher's salary like for a few months in a row. And at the time, my teacher's salary was 60K, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before taxes, what? That's like 5K,
Yeah.
3K after taxes. And so I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, this extra money, let me find out. Like,
Yeah.
I could actually do this full time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and at the time, my partner was super supportive of
Mm-hmm.
all of
That's good.
my YouTube journey, and
Mm-hmm.
she was just like, "Girl, you should just quit. Like, that's for
Mm-hmm.
kids." I was like,
You need to hear that though, like because there's so much we get so attached to security, and 9 years is a long time. And going from school teacher to doing something artsy, like that's a totally different world, And it's like
"Mhm."
unless it's bringing in them coins and giving you some promises that you're gonna be all right, it's scary to take that leap. So having that encouragement, in your relationship is definitely highly like key for to move keep going with this. You know what I mean?
It
Because
was so pivotal in me making the transition, like so much so, very
absolutely.
thankful to her for that time because I was still hesitant, still doubtful, even though I was starting to see like success and people were starting to know who I was within that hair niche
Right.
because I was very niche at first. I was only talking about hair initially for like the first 2 years.
Yeah.
But as we saw COVID going on and people are literally dying left and right, it
Mm-hmm.
just made me reevaluate everything. And I
Okay.
was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to start making a switch. But I didn't feel secure. You mentioned security, and that is definitely a
Mm-hmm.
top thing for me. It's a value for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I was like,
You're true Capricorn, right? You're
I,
Capricorn, right?
I
See, we
am.
know we
Well,
you know what we got to do. Just
you already know.
kidding. Right.
Yes, I am a Capricorn, December 22nd to be exact. And I'm on the
Nice.
cusp too.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I got to make a plan. And
Mm-hmm.
the plan is not just for my partner to take care of me. I just wasn't comfortable with that. So
Mm-hmm.
my savings was looking like nil and void. I was like, okay, let's start saving. So
Mm-hmm.
me and my partner were saving together, and I was saving by myself. And during that year, by myself, I was able to save up like a good maybe 12K because it
That's
was
amazing.
COVID, and I
Whew.
wasn't spending no money.
You're not going it right.
I wasn't drinking. I wasn't. My
Mm-hmm.
ass was in the house, and we was just chilling, eating,
Mm-hmm.
cooking. Like we did
Mm-hmm.
travel a bit too, but
Mm-hmm.
still, I saved more than I had ever saved in my life at that time, and I was so proud of myself. And that
Yeah.
definitely gave me a boost too. But it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
until I got back in the classroom, even though
Mm-hmm.
the saving was going well, my channel is still going well, and at this point, I'm inserting other things. I'm doing fashion hauls now. I'm doing some vlogging now because I was like, there's other aspects that I need to show y'all. And people will start asking for it too.
Mm-hmm.
So we got back in the classroom. and it was like a war zone up in there. My kids, oh, bless their little hearts. They didn't know how to mask. They were barely learning how to wash their hands because I had the youngest group too. So we're teaching them everything about being around people in school. And it made me, oh my God, I was so anxiety ridden. I was wearing double masks 5 days a week. I was even wearing masks outside because I just was so.
We didn't trust anything. It was like they're telling us everything. Hey, it's air, whatever, and it could just transfer through the air. And I was just like, golly, like I was scared to breathe, like in the same space with somebody else. It's crazy. We
Literally
were just so grossed out by each other,
holding my breath. And I'm a more affectionate teacher, so I did feel bad too because sometimes kids want to hug you and stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, and that's just not the type of educator I wanted to be. I was like, this is not going to work for me anymore. And then on top of that, the school that I was at the school for the whole 9 years, but I switched campuses a few times. At that particular campus, I just felt like I think they did the best of what they could in retrospect, but there were still some things that weren't sitting right with me. I actually wrote a very long letter about my grievances to my principal, the chief of schools, and a few higher ups, literally. And then it got around. They were like, "Oh, Miss Maisons just wrote a letter, just expressing like we need more support here, more staff support, but also more just support with cleanliness, things like that." And I think it just went unheard overall, and that really hurts. I remember they were like, "Oh yeah, Miss Maisons, you got some red velvet cupcakes." I was like, "Cupcakes? Is that the response to my email 2 weeks later? Like, what? I don't want no fucking child." So I'm talking to my partner about this.
Gaslight.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is not a solution. I know that your hands are tied, but at least give me a proper response. So my partner was like, "You really should quit." But the thing is, and I'm sure a lot of teachers can relate, leaving once the school year starts, you feel kind of bad. A lot of people, they're just like, "I'll write it out." That's why I kept saying, "I'll wait till the end of the year. I got this." But then November hit. No, it was getting closer to November, and there was some other mandate coming in play, and I was like, "I don't think I could do this anymore." I was going to Atlanta with my partner at the time, and she was like, "I think you really need to put in your 2 weeks, and you need to take your PTO because you have like 10 days." And I was about to renege on the PTO. She was like, "Are you crazy? No, you need to take your days." I was like, "So I'm just gonna not go back? Like what?"
Or cash it out,
And I asked them, they weren't cashing out. So she was like, "You better take them days." And that's what I did. I'd made, it felt really hard at the time because I felt like I was abandoning them. But at the end of the day, it ended up being the best decision for me. Because my nervous system got back in check. I was waking up able to breathe. I was sleeping at night. Oh my God. Because before that, I just felt like I was a wreck. And then that is when I really started going all in full time creating. And that was November 1st of 2022, right? Yeah, because we're 2020. No, 2021. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I know, it's a process. And sometimes it's more of just like, you're almost like looking for a sign for you to leave. But I think your sign was right there. And it was one of those things where like, you have a passion for teaching, but it didn't hit the same way it did when when you first got started, or you see that things are just different. And the fact that our whole world and country and, it just has to take a shift in a lot of ways. And we're all trying to just survive out here. That's one of those things where like, I felt like around that time was the perfect time for everybody to say, hey, like, what is something else I can do? I feel like I'm being, I feel like that was a time where like we're being something's trying to get our attention to do something different, or to say, hey, you did this run for a long time, and I know this is how you saw like just your life going, but there's something else that's trying to find you. And it's scary. Taking that leap is scary, but I just say if you got that PTO, whether they're willing to cash out or not, if your bills and stuff are going to be paid at least for the next 2 or 3 months or something like that, and you have time to just sit there and just kind of think about it, like do it, like if it's, and not just 2 or 3 months. Now it takes even longer to find another job, just in case. But I would just say that like it's hard because you just want to find like that one sign, and your partner, it was good because that was the voice that you needed to just kind of say, hey, all right, like let's step away from this. So beauty and travel are both deeply personal. How have they both helped you redefine your confidence and self-love?
So I will say I'll start with beauty. I really feel like this journey I've been on with my social media channels, with my presence and building my community, it's really opened my eyes to how I define beauty for myself, and seeing how much people need these reminders. Like I was saying earlier, I get a lot of messages just saying like how my content like inspires them, encourages them, and helps them. And the representation piece is paramount, because I can say for myself, when I started wearing wigs, I wasn't seeing like dark-skinned women showcasing wigs. Some of my favorite people, they were black, but they were just lighter. There was one woman who was like the same complexion as me, but it was one that was doing it consistently. And then I became that person for other people. And then when I started doing other things, it was like, oh, this is so good to see someone that looks like me, who is young and vibrant and also my same complexion, who also is beautiful to me, but like inside and out. That became really important. And I realized like that was part of my purpose. And it made me feel like super, it really just like helped boost my confidence too. I know like when I was 19, 20, I didn't always feel like the prettiest inside and out. So the fact that I can now turn around and like help people see that within themselves, super important. And then on the travel realm, I just feel like traveling, gosh,
it opens your mind up to so much other than what's right here. And even I'm sure you can see beauty around the world in different ways, and light, and it's different. Like even dark-skinned women, although we go through the same very similar process, like as far as like growth goes and confidence, but I'm sure when you go to like another country and you see maybe somebody of color, or like how they define beauty and stuff like that, it just opens your mind up a little bit more, to what is really like the society that we grew up in, and redefining what they are trying to tell us like our beauty looks like, or how, because I went through that same process like you, like just, all right, they didn't look at the darker tone girls like that, you know what I mean? And it's just kind of like, but it was within the household, between our families, making us, as confident and beautiful as we possibly can, or it was like us discovering that on our own too,
on our own. Absolutely. So, and travel helped with that a lot, because me going to different places, like I remember for my 30th going to Colombia, and I just love going where the Black diaspora is. So
yeah.
and seeing all these different shades of people speaking another language, and I'm just like, wow, this is beauty to me, And they're looking at me like, oh, you're like my sister. You could be my aunt, my cousin, and it's just like we are thousands of miles apart, in reality. So the more I traveled, the more I felt like, wow, I see me in other cultures too. And that also instills confidence. And that's something that I can take back to the people that I love and the people that, I share with on social media.
Oh my goodness. That's incredible. Yeah. I went to Punta Cana this past summer, and man, I didn't realize. I knew people were saying like, you go to Puerto Rico, you go to all these other places, like, because when we are here in the States, I see like the lighter tone of everybody, you know what I mean? But like over there were Black people over there, and I was just like, whoa, like this is so interesting, you know what I mean? Because in a way, there's certain cultures that kind of look down at, darker tone people, and out there it's just like, hey, we got family out here, you know what I mean?
Yeah. We all family over there.
Right. Like we all cousins, and they really do embrace you the same way. And Colombia is one place that I want to go. My partner went, but Medellin. So I think we're going to try to plan some travel out there, but I'm sure, yeah, it's always best. I always say, like, I want to go to places where there are people that look like me, you know what I mean? And other places too, but, you know, there is a population that there are a black type, you know, in other countries and other areas and stuff like that. So going to social media and content creating. Social media makes it look easy, but content creation is a full-time job. What's something about being an influencer that people don't realize? Because I know everybody's just kind of like, oh, let me open a camera, or you can just do this and it's just going to happen. But this don't happen overnight. What does that look like for you?
Oh, Lord, it sure doesn't. First of all, the amount of discipline that you need to keep it going. Like I said, when I started on YouTube before short form content, I was posting 3 long form videos a week by the grace of God. And I was still, I still am a daughter. I'm still a girlfriend, a partner. I'm still a friend. I still had an active social life. I'm still a teacher. So juggling all these things and really getting your time management together. I think people underestimate that. They're just like, oh, okay, well, once I have the camera or my phone that I'm using, I can just start filming. And it is as simple as starting in that realm. But it's like, how do you plan on sustaining what you are trying to build? You have to plan. You have to put in place systems that will help keep the train chugging along. And that's what I realized, especially going full time. I was like, okay, no one else is going to tell me what to do here but me. Like, it is definitely, I know we say entrepreneur, but technically I'm a solopreneur because it's just me right now. And everything has to be planned by me. And I'm the one that makes sure I have income coming in every month, every year. So I feel like people underestimate the amount of discipline it takes, the amount of sacrifice it takes sometimes too. Because even though I did have an active social life, when I made a decision to like get more serious in certain times of year, I have to sacrifice doing certain things. I may not be able to take that trip with you or go to that birthday event. It's like, okay, let me catch you before your birthday, and the ones who are closest to you, they understand because, there are just certain times of year where it's grind mode, like holiday season. Grind mode is, and I have to let people know, like, okay, I might be a little MIA again, but I still love you. So I think people underestimate the time commitment to truly make this work. It is an inordinate amount of time, and you have to love it. I think you have to love it. Sure. I'm not saying you have to love every part of the process, but you have to love the reason why you're doing it. I'm doing what I'm doing within my community because I love helping women feel like the best version of themselves. I really do. And I love teaching people new things, and I love sharing my experiences in hopes that they try something new themselves and essentially changing lives, right? That is part of my why. And that why is what keeps me going when I don't want to wake up, when I don't want to edit, when I don't want to negotiate or pitch to brands. The why keeps me going. So that's what people, I feel like, especially those that are starting, they don't really realize or understand off the bat.
Yeah. It definitely time, because I started with the whole, not really started by I've taken TikTok more seriously and just trying to go and even editing these, podcast episodes and stuff like that. Because right now I just feel like, you kind of just start out doing everything yourself until, you figure financially things start either coming in, or you just figure out sometimes you like knowing it's nice to know how to do things, but things take time and they're time consuming. So there are many times like right after work, it's like you're either doing something, but I think that because you loved something so much, it didn't, in the beginning, it doesn't feel like this is just a job. I know it takes, you realize, you look back and you're like, hey, this takes a lot of time, but it really is something that you're passionate about. So you don't see that in the beginning, but until you've decided to let that full-time job go. And then you're like, all right, well, now I really got to use this time, these daytime hours. I really got to put it in. And then also the insurance plans that your job gives you or the PTO that your job gives you, you don't operate like your typical schedule of a person. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people like just automatically assume that you just have 5 minutes because you edit it out that way. It looked like you just sat down for like an hour and just like talked into a camera and decided, because you really do. And for anybody out there, if you're not following, we're going to get to your socials in a second, but like one thing that you do make it look is you make it look easy, and that means that you're doing something right. But little do people know what happens behind the scenes when you're just like, and equipment don't want to work and stuff like that. So very happy and proud of you for everything you've done so far. And basically I want to ask, one thing, you built a space where people feel seen and celebrated, especially Black folks, especially women of color, especially dark-skinned women. What's one thing you wish more people knew about their own beauty? What is something that like just stands out about that?
I wish more people knew that it's, I guess, less about what's being purported externally, and it's really an inside job. It's really something that you have to decide and commit to. I feel like, and that commitment comes with your daily habits, your things that you're doing on a weekly, monthly basis. And so if you know that, let's say, if you know that doing your skincare every day makes you feel beautiful, that is a habit that you should commit to.
On the camera.
And then do that regularly. And if you're doing that for 2 weeks straight, you are going to feel more beautiful, but that's due to you making a decision. Deciding like this is something I'm going to do because it makes me feel good. And I like how I feel when I feel good. When you feel good, automatically your energy, your aura is through the roof. It's a 10 out of 10. So I think knowing that we have that power to decide what our beauty looks like, what it feels like, what it sounds like, it starts within us. And I know sometimes it can be really hard if you're already starting at a deficit, and you have all these voices in your ear telling you like, oh, you should wear this, or you shouldn't wear that, or you shouldn't wear your hair like this. And it's like, it can be hard to block out the naysayers. It really can. Especially, and then don't even get me started about not even just what's happening as an adult, whatever happened in your childhood, whatever attachments that formed there, that informed how you feel about yourself, that stuff that you carry until you heal through it. So all of that, it's with you. But again, at some point, once you are aware, you have to make a decision like, this is how I want my beauty to be. And I'm going to be the one to define it, not anyone else. Period.
Yeah. It should always be the case. My thing is like, people's definition of beauty is a personal opinion. You know what I mean? Like there are a lot of people, there's somebody on social who loves hair and makeup. I believe they're non-binary, but they don't have any arms and legs. And now they have brand deals and stuff like that. And I think it's just freaking incredible. That person's married and loving their best life and confident within themselves. And what I love the most, I'm not into all of the makeup and stuff like that because it just takes too much time. I'll do like some concealer and whatever, the basics. But
I got my 5-minute face down pat.
You said what?
I got my little 5-minute face down pat.
There you go. And you have that natural look. So I don't think I've ever seen you with and I understand what a full beat face is like. And, there are occasions for that. But when you're just able to give people that advice on just, you don't have to, this doesn't have to be you. Just because this person is doing this doesn't mean that this is what defines beauty and how you should be defining yourself and how you should do that. You know what I mean? Like there are people out there who love doing their nails, who love doing their makeup and stuff like that. And that's just what they like, but find something that works for you. And I felt like at a young age that I had to be this super feminine, person that had to look like a woman to people. And not that I don't feel like I'm not a people pleaser. So I'm just like, what do I feel comfortable as? How happy am, and this is how I feel and look good. I mean, right now I'm in a hat and a hoodie, but there are many times I realize thank you. I was just like, there are many times I'm like, if I go to the grocery store, sometimes I want to step out and like actually get dressed because it makes me feel good and I don't feel like a bum. And I understand feeling like a bum for that day, but sometimes it helps build my confidence for that day because I didn't have an okay type of, because I know my day was being weird. You know what I mean?
Right.
So one thing that I do, last question I want to ask is, what would you ask your younger self, or what advice would you give? Not ask, but what advice would you give your younger self?
What advice would I give my younger self? Ooh, little
I know
Gladys.
it's such a deep question.
Little GW. What would I tell her? I think I would tell her, um, one, to really stay true to her passions, because the things that I liked when I was younger, I still enjoy today. I was always artistic. I was always a creative. I was singing, dancing, writing. I was in every other club. I was in a lot of extracurricular activities. That is all still within me, and I still use some of those talents to this day, and some of it just for leisure. So I would say stick to that, be true to yourself, and also to not let anyone like take your joy. I am naturally,
Yes.
very preppy.
You're a fun person. Like even I was like, it was one of those where like, even when I met you, I was like, it's just energy. I think everybody is like, if they're just good to be around, like hang out with them. Just,
Yes.
like we've hung out, we've had drinks and stuff like that. And it's just like, people are just, let people be vulnerable around people and actually enjoy people's energy. It's the wrong energy that people end up mistaking and being around. But yeah, like you're just a cool person. You know what I mean? Just like a very free spirited type of energy. And you've always been that way. And
I've
yeah.
heard that my whole life, free spirited. Like,
Yeah.
oh, Gladys, she's very free. I'm like,
Yeah. It's like, what you mean by that? No, I was kidding.
no, I am
No,
though. I'm very
you
free.
are.
I
You
could be
are. Yeah.
very avant-garde. I could be a bit unconventional with certain things. I've always been like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely, and also it does take, I would say, a very specific personality to be a school teacher. You know what I mean? I feel like school teachers can, even on a regular, in a casual environment, any friends I've had as school teachers have also, I've seen stricter sides of them or teachable moments from them, and I think they have to step outside of that. But also, like, moments where I know that they're just human, and it's just kind of like, if you had a certain job where like this was like that's all you thought about and did, that's kind of how you would operate. There's times I have to snap out of work mode,
Yes.
but I definitely think that you've just always been like just a cool person. But I want to get into a fun game, and then we're gonna close it out. Is that okay? Are you down for a fun game?
I'm down
Okay,
for
so
games.
awesome. So for those listening, I kind of explained the rules to, not really rules, but what instructions to. It's like there are rules. There are strict rules here. For this fun game, this rapid game, it's called Passport to the Past and Future. So this is like a good opportunity to get to know Gwladys a little more. This is a mix of travel, beauty, and personal nostalgia. Just Gwladys is just going to answer the first thing that comes to mind. All right, and we'll just go down pretty quickly. All right, these are either answers you already know because they're something you've already had done or whatever. Let's see here. So the first one is, what's the first stamp in your passport?
Cancun, yeah, Mexico.
Yeah, that was the first big trip you took.
When I was
Nice.
26, 7, yeah.
Nice. There's a lot of places I still need to visit, but that's cool. I love it. Let's see, if you could time travel to any era just for the fashion, where would you go? Oh,
For
that's
the
a fun
fashion?
question. Yes.
I would love, the Harlem Renaissance fashion, I think, is just so decadent and so, lovely. I would love to
Yes.
see that in person.
Yeah, and I also miss like the evolution of fashion, and now it's just everything's repeating itself. You know what I mean? But I
Isn't it
miss when
always? It's a
things.
cycle.
It's just like nothing is original. Let's see here. You wake up. You wake up with. Let's see. You wake up with the beauty routine of a celebrity. Who's it gonna be?
Maybe Gabrielle Union, because
Okay.
Yeah, her skin is amazing, and she
She
was
does have
like
good
my little
skin.
crush when I was younger too. I was like, oh my god,
She's
she's
super
so
cute, right?
cute. It was before I knew I
Mm-hmm.
liked women. I'm like, oh my god,
Those are the
oh
first signs.
right.
Your first female crush is always going to be the first sign. Let's see here. Worst airport experience.
Oh God, probably MIA. I feel
I feel
like
like between Miami or Atlanta for
yeah, I was
people.
gonna say Atlanta is probably number two. I don't remember what happened in MIA, but I just remember how I felt annoyed as F. So yeah, and
Okay.
I've been to
It
that
was
airport so many times.
Yeah, and that's all I see on TikTok is like when there's something that pops off on like a plane or whatever. People are like, they must be leaving Miami because it's always something.
It's always
Um,
been. Oh my God.
that is too funny. All right, so it's Miami Airport. Get it together. All right.
Jeez.
Let's see here. You can only use one beauty product for a year. What are you picking now? If you don't want to drop any brands, you can totally just skip this pass. But if you feel like there's a beauty product, because you also get paid to do this. So yeah, what beauty product would you use for a year that you're just like that's your, or maybe just a go to?
I am definitely, when it comes to makeup, I'm a gloss girl. Like right now, I used to be very into matte lipsticks. That was like a whole thing, 2016.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
But now
When
it's all
people
about the
do.
gloss. So the gloss that I buy literally over and over and over is the one I'm wearing right now. It's right here next to me, actually.
Oh, it's like you ain't going nowhere without me, boo. Like that thing got legs. It's following you. Don't realize it's following you around the
Actually, I'm like, where'd you come from? Why are you there? Like,
right. That is so funny.
this is by NYX, and it's called
Oh yeah, I've
Lava
heard of them.
Cake, and it's a chocolate lip gloss. I
Mm.
love wearing it with liner. I'll use like a black liner because it's hard to find a dark brown liner for my skin, and I just love it. It's like my easy, especially if I'm just doing a very chill type of makeup look. It just pops.
And I like the chocolate. Like, not everybody can pull off the chocolate lips vibe too. Like, nobody can. That's not for everybody. So that's something that don't be out here taking God's advice and that ain't for you. I'm sorry. See, we already been talking about beauty and stuff, and I'm over here insulting the whole segment and every episode.
Don't get canceled before you start.
Right. Cancel her. What is her problem? My bad. I'm just kidding. Y'all pull up. If it works for you, it works for you. You wear that chocolate lip. I love that. All right. And let's see here. All right. I have three more. What's a childhood snack that still slaps today?
A childhood snack that still slaps today. What did I eat in childhood that I really liked? Because I have a lot of fond memories of going to the bodega in my like early teens and buying like chips and dips and stuff. I had Dunkaroos the other week. Why? Because I was home in New York and I just saw it and I was like, oh, this is so nostalgic. So
You
maybe
got to do that when you go places and they have specific snacks,
yeah, it just makes me
Yeah.
feel like, oh, this is home. I would say probably Doritos. I've liked Doritos for most of my life. The blue bag, not the red
Of
bag.
course, the Cool Ranch.
I'm glad you know, because some people
Oh,
know.
it only hit the Cool Ranch just hit different. Even if you ain't hungry and you bite into that chip, it hit different. They got the cans with the little mini Doritos now. They're only in specific. It's almost like you got to go to the hood to get it. But like, yeah, they're in like the tall cans, but they're the mini ones. Oh my god! And there's more of them in the can. Girl,
Wait, time out.
Get on
Is this in Brooklyn? Because I normally when I come home, I'm
I
in
bought it in
either
Brooklyn. Yeah.
Harlem or the Bronx, sometimes downtown. I need to go to the hood then and find it.
Yeah, you gotta. I think maybe it's out here more, but because I don't see it that too much, and I only see it in black grocery stores and stuff like that. But I would say that. And another thing is Gushers. I think Gushers is always
I
gonna
used
be
to
it.
love Gushers.
Yeah,
Like when as
it's
soon as they
still-
explode in your mouth, I'm like, ooh, what a nice little surprise.
Exactly. Thank you. Some people are like, oh, I don't want that like thing shooting out of my mouth. Like, relax. Like, just take your
Yeah.
mind out of that and just enjoy the freaking Gusher. It's there. I always like anything with like a nice like mini little surprise feeling. It's always fun.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So, all right, two more. Dream collaboration. Any brand, any person, no limits. What is your
yes.
dream collab?
So dream collab, I would say brand wise, it depends on the category. So like travel, I would love to like collaborate with like Southwest because I like flying them um domestically.
Yeah.
I don't fly Delta like that, but the one time I did, I enjoyed it, so I would love to collab with
It's
them.
really, but
Really
when you
with
go to
like my
Delta, it's hard to go back.
that's what they
Yeah.
say. That's what they say.
But anyway, Southwest, you still cool too. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, Southwest. I do love Southwest. I'm surprised I don't have like a points card with them or something because I love them. I would love to
That's
collab
so
with
much.
them. As far as beauty, fashion, I would also like to collab with like Rihanna in some way. I would do whatever, Fenty Hair, Skin, Savage,
Yes.
any one of those. I would definitely do.
Yes.
Just name it.
That would be incredible. Right. Rihanna, I think it was Angel Reese basketball. Do you watch WNBA basketball?
I don't keep up, but I know Angel Reese. Yeah.
You know, Aaron. Okay, so Angel Reese was basically like, I think she ran into to Rihanna, and she was just like, "We need to work together," and Rihanna was like, "We will." And I think she did something for Fenty recently, just a small little whatever, but still, like that's incredible. That's how Rihanna worked. You know, she's like cool like that. So I believe that is possible. That can happen any day now for you. You know what I mean? That would be so dope.
That would be
Yeah.
amazing. And then the last one would be anything regarding I have a foundation in mind. I actually should just pitch to them. But mental health is super important to me, especially because I grew up with people who like struggled with mental health and overcame their mental health issues. So any foundation like that supports Black, marginalized people of color, in that space, that would be like a dream collab too.
I love that. Yes. Oh, these are good. All right. And my last one would be you get a free flight anywhere in the world right now. Where would you be going, girl?
Right.
Where you going to go? You only have 2 seconds to think of
it. Okay. I would have said a week ago Trinidad Carnival.
Yeah, that is around the season.
I would go to Bali because I just loved being in Thailand, and I want to travel all over Asia. So I would go there. I would go to Brazil, and I would go to Ghana. Oh my God. I would be in West Africa straight up. Like, yes.
I love that. Oh, that is nice. I think that like you should this is one of those trips where you just gotta like, all right, book you one flight to go this way, and then you just take like little stops around the way.
Right. Like, can we amend the deal real quick? Like, can I do
right. Oh my God. Well, thank you so much, Gwladys. This has been an incredible conversation. Fun game, fun rapid round game. Also very good questions to get to know where what you look forward to doing, or like even some goals of yours too. So where can our listeners follow you and find you? 'Cause I know you're on YouTube. I know you're on IG and stuff. So like, what are your handles, and do you have anything coming up that you want to promote? Or
Yes. So I'm forever Gwladys on all social media, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, Facebook. Yeah, everywhere. My name is spelled Gwladys. The W is silent. So, put it on the screen probably. And
I will have it in the bio.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
In the show notes. I do have a trip coming up to Jamaica to Hedonism II, which is a clothing optional resort in Jamaica. I've been there 6 times. May will be my 7th time. And
Beautiful.
It's just, if you need a place to like really come into yourself, it's like really get one with your body, but also turn up and have a good time, Hedonism II is the place to be. Please message me if you want to know more. I have a lot of content about hedonism too. So yeah, hit me up.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Gwladys. This has been an incredible conversation. It was great catching up with you because I haven't like really just spoken to you in a while. So this was like a fun, creepy way of like being able to get and do this. Right. But yeah, I will definitely have all the information in the description in the show notes and description of this. So you guys know exactly how the correct spelling of everything, and you guys can get some, follow and get some good beauty advice. So thank you so much for being and joining me today and taking the time out of your day to just chat with me. All right, and that wraps up our show. It was amazing having Gwladys on the show today. Her journey from teaching to full-time content creating was so inspiring, and I love how she used beauty and travel to redefine confidence and self-expression. I'm grateful for her story. Thank you, Gwladys, for sharing your story with us. And to everyone listening, if you love this conversation, make sure you follow Undefining on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. Stay connected with us on social media, IG, Undefining the Podcast, and don't forget to leave a review. It really helps spread the word. Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and stay undefining.
Undefining.